Influenza is one that usually comes up in the latter part of December, and then we deal with it January through February, and then it starts to go away with March. It's going to be a little interesting to see how that goes this year, and whether or not we have. There's three different scenarios you can imagine. One is that we have this kind of big surge of influenza now, and then it tapers off, and then the January, February peaks aren't as high because we went through it. The other possible scenario is it just keeps going, and it continues to be a bugaboo throughout the whole winter season. And flu sometimes can do that by shifting around and changing itself immunologically. And so we'll have to see which one of those comes up. What about COVID in this mix? COVID's now one of our respiratory viruses, and we still are seeing COVID. Interestingly, the number of cases that we're recording and the number that we're seeing with wastewater monitoring and the number of hospitalizations that we're seeing with COVID is kind of at a nadir, at a low point compared to what it had been in the past. So it's like these other viruses are sort of taking advantage of that, and they're coming up now. In the world of COVID, though, there's some shifting going on. We're starting to see some new variants. Right now, BA.5 is still the predominant variant here in the triad, but a lot of us have gotten BA.5 or through boosting are immune to BA.5, and so there are some other variants starting to take over slowly but surely, and these include, you ready for the number, potpourri alphabet soup, B1, B1.1, QX, XB, and we're starting to see these get some traction here in North Carolina. Interestingly, these other variants, all of which are prodigy or sons and daughters of the Omicron variant, are not taking off quite as fast as BA.4 and 5 did last summer. BA.4 and 5 went up fairly quickly. These are going up a little bit more slowly. And they get their traction because they're a little bit more transmissible than BA.4 and 5. They don't appear to be any more severe, and that's good news. But they may evade pre-existing immunity a bit more, which means that if you got COVID early in the pandemic, or you got Delta last year, or even if you've got Omicron last January and February when we had that big surge, you might get it again. But pre-existing immunity seems to help protect us from serious infection due to COVID, including hospitalization and death. But you might get a COVID cold.